Now, look, in my opinion, business really isn't that hard. Now, this video idea came to me after I was actually asked by someone else how I go about business at my creative agency, how I go about getting clients or just like building relationships. And while at the time I was kind of put on the spot and a bit confused because I really didn't have an answer or like that one gem or that one piece of advice I could give them, it really kind of got me thinking. So this is ultimately what I came up with. And again, this is purely subjective and just based off my experiences. And I'll reiterate this over and over again. That's really the message of this channel, is to share my experiences, how I've learned from them, and just kind of put that out into the world and take that as you will and do what you want with it. If you can learn from it, awesome. And if you think I'm dumb and completely wrong, that's fine too. That's kind of the whole point of this freedom of speech thing that we have in this great country of America. But again, this is purely what I think, and this is what's worked for me. And this is kind of how I've ran my business over the last few years. And, I say creative agency, and I don't want to be one of those people that like, oh, I have an agency, but it's just them. And to be fair, I have a few contractors I work with, especially if it's like a big photo or video gig. I'm not a stranger to having three other people working under me. And, with some brands having people helping on the, social media management side and influencer side. But for the most part, 90% of the work that this company produces is through me. So I just kind of want to put that out there. But to me, it comes down to two things. And there's obviously other nuances in business, but for the most part, these are two of the things that I've seen the biggest return on investment after running my agency for close to 7 years now. Number one is trying, and I mean like actually trying to provide a good service or product or deliverable. And number two is being a good person. That's kind of about it. Now, the majority of the success my business has experienced, and again, I'm just kind of talking in a B2B environment, was through a solid, thorough effort to their clients' success and just being a good, likable person that they enjoy working with. And it's really important you get both of these things right, because if you have an awesome product or service and you deliver great results, but you're not really fun to work with or likable, or it's kind of a dread anytime you come around, I would argue to say your LTV or lifetime value for that client is going to be drastically decreased versus if you, again, had a great product, had a great service, and you were an awesome person to work with. Every time you come around, their energy picks up, they smile, and they just enjoy being in your company. Now, if you ever don't deliver or fall short of the things you said you were going to do, I feel like it's really, really important to try to make things right. No one's perfect. People are human. People mess up sometimes. People fall short. But I feel like if you, number one, take accountability and say, hey, I fucked up. This is my fault, or we didn't do this, or this may be the reason why this didn't work out, or we weren't able to deliver. If you were, number one, taking responsibility for the shortcoming, and number two, like actively trying to make it right, whether that's working for free until you get it right, whether that's refunding money, or whatever you can to make the situation better, as long as they see you physically trying to put in that effort, that can save you a lot of the times versus if you're just like, I mean, I don't know, sorry, So in my experience, anytime that I've fucked up or fallen short or, not delivered on what I said I was going to do, I'm not afraid to make things right by refunding money or giving a free month of service or whatever you can to make things right is going to be ultimately better than losing the client entirely. And I don't fuck up a lot. I'm not trying to say that my clients, I'm constantly messing up, but I've been running business since the age of 17. So I've had my fair share of mess ups on the way there. So again, as long as you're taking responsibility for one, where things went wrong, and two, like actively trying to make things better, if they're a semi reasonable person, generally in my experience, I've found that most people, as long as you do those two things, they'll generally be reasonable with you, and obviously within confined limitations if you're not just abruptly like screwing their business or anything like that. I think this is a really, really important lesson for people to learn to apply to their business, because more than likely you will mess up at some point. You will fall short. Life throws things at you sometimes, and we're just not able to predict them or control them. But again, if you follow these two principles, you'll be okay. Now, you're really winning if your clients actually like view you as an associate or even better as a friend. Seriously, most of my clients that have been with me for years are actual friends of mine. They invite me to their place, to other activities outside of work. We give each other gifts, etc., like normal friends would. And think about it this way, it's kind of hard to fire your own friend, right? And no, we're not doing this with the intention to like make more money from them or anything like that. And we're actually like interested and invested in a relationship with them. You build an actual relationship, preferably beyond the confined spaces of your work or whatever that business relationship looks like. And quick tip, personally for me, gifts are kind of a love language of mine. So I think strategic and thoughtful gifts are an awesome way to build a nice relationship with your client. And it doesn't have to be a freaking Rolex. I've literally sent like a 15, 20, $25 Starbucks gift card to a dentist client of mine for National Dentist Day. So just little things that are thoughtful like that. Or I think I had another client who had just built their first house. I got them a nice little bottle of champagne, nothing crazy, and wrote them a nice little card and put in a gift card for a local home decor spot so they can begin to make their house their home. Again, I'm taking the time and effort to make these things meaningful. Have you ever heard of the quote, people don't buy things, people buy people? Well, that's true. This is how you cultivate relationships. And at the end of the day, if you do this right, they'll run through a wall for you. And you should do the same. Plus, you'd be surprised how many shitty, shallow people there are in this world. So just being a good human with good intentions is honestly a breath of fresh air for a lot of these business owners who have been burned by sleazy salesmen. Again, you may not be perfect, but if you have good intentions, you genuinely have a dedicated effort to making things work for them. You're invested in their success, you're invested in the relationship. I feel like everything else will kind of work out. And again, when this guy had asked me, like, hey, man, how do you go about business? I really didn't have an answer for him, but that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's just doing a good job, right? Providing a good service. And even if you don't, like trying to provide a good service and trying to make things right whenever you fuck up and being a good person. That's really it. That's ultimately, for me at least, what it came down to. And again, there are nuances in business, as with any business, but these are simple but often overlooked. So just try to be a good person. Remember, your clients are people, and yes, they're paying you, and yes, it's a revenue stream, but these are people with emotions and feelings and with their own relationships and families. So the closer you can get to them and the closer you can cultivate a relationship with them, the better it'll work out for you. And remember, we're doing this with the best intentions. We're actually interested in a genuine relationship with them. We're not trying to manipulate or anything like that. But this is what I've really employed in my business practices to succeed and be running for 7 years now. And, up to date, my longest client is almost at 3 years straight, paying me every single month. So yeah, good LTV. And I don't think that would have been possible if they didn't like me, if I was a pain to work with, if I was a shitty person, burning them left and right. I feel like because I've shown that I'm a good human, I have good intentions, I have their business's best intentions in mind. That's what's really gained the trust from them and gained their loyalty. I remember that even when I was kind of speaking to this guy, he's like, yeah, man, I always see you come in here. You always have a smile on your face. You're always like super happy and, upgoing. And I'm not trying to fake it or be over the top, but that's just kind of how I am. I enjoy working with my clients. I have a good time. I hope they do too. And I don't ever want to come in with a shitty attitude or, bad energy. So again, for me, my business has been built off of a lot of referrals, and hot take, I think referrals are by far the best way to get any business. Having someone vouch for you, and especially if this is a high value person, vouch for you is the ultimate form of approval and ultimate form of trust. So literally I have clients where I can go back 4 or 5 referrals of how people just keep referring me. Like this person refers me to this person, that person refers me to that person, it just keeps going. And that's because I'm a good person. I do a good job. I provide a good service, and I'm just a great person. And that's really what it comes down to. So that's the video for today. I know it's a hot take, but this is just based off of my experiences and what's worked well for me. So I hope it'll work well for you. Go ahead and try to employ that in your business. be a freaking awesome person to work with, provide a good service. And even if you don't or you fall short, try to make things right in whichever way you can to make things fair for them because they're paying you. And if you fall short, there should be some sort of a middle ground or solution that you two come to. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. Drop a comment if you agree with me or any other things that you've learned along the business or entrepreneurial journey that you think are very, very important to building a long lasting relationship with your clients. I'd love to hear more takes on that. That's pretty much all I had for this video. Don't let dreams be dreams. I'm out. Peace.